Welcome back to Twilight of the Generation, where we say goodbye to... I hope that doesn't get us a copyright strike. The way we say goodbye to the PS4 and the Xbox One, and because next year is going to bring us new consoles. But also, Twilight of the Generation means a magical notebook with notes written in it in glitter gel pen. It smells of fruit, but also glitters like Edward from the book Twilight. Although this is New Moon, where Bella meets Edward and Jacob the Wolf Boy. I'm going to get it because it's not on my desk, and Paddy doesn't believe it exists. Still,
I mean, I do believe it exists. It just upsets me.
And who knows when a quote will arrive? Who knows? Quotes that are littered across the page. Depends on how the page break goes, doesn't it? It does. So get excited for all those twinkly, sparkly quotes. So at the start we've got James Carter.
Hello.
At the start we've also got Patrick Stardust.
Evening all.
And at the start of the Square Conference we've got Final Fantasy Remake number 7, as they call it on the streets.
Excuse me for being the Bethesda guy, but yeah!
Oh my word.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
Guy?
Yeah.
So this was first announced 5 years ago? Oh, 5 years is a long time. Not as long as 100 years, though, is it, Paddy?
No. Oh.
Time passes. Even when it seems impossible, it passes unevenly, in strange lurches and dragging lulls. But pass it does. Even for me. Bella said that.
I bet.
Did you introduce myself and Paddy as here at the start because you're worried one or other of us won't be here by the end?
Possibly. I think you're more professional than that.
I am. I'm not sure Paddy will be able to take it to be...
What does that mean?
I'm not sure Paddy's going to be able to take many more Twilight quotes.
Look, it's up to me. It's up to me to bring the pizzazz for these things, and I've done it year after year after year. Songs, bits of the Super Collider.
Absolutely.
Don't doubt my twisted mind.
Your ability to make a podcast sparkle.
Well, there is that.
I'm not doubting it, but I am afraid of it.
Yeah. This is the point where, in the future, you could go on to do a podcast with somebody else, and you're just like, "There's something missing," and they'd be like, "What is it, Paddy? What is it? I'm just like you." And they were like, "Yeah, but I kind of want a year-end show that features a talking cod." So
we're missing some chaos. I can't tell where it is, but there's some chaos not here.
So we opened with a fairly nice, longer trailer than we'd seen before.
Yeah, I would say so. I liked that the sort of the holding image on the screen was the Final Fantasy VII like menu boot screen. Was quite good. That was a nice touch. Yeah, good trailer I thought, and I think the crowd were a very woo crowd, but not an annoying woo. They were genuinely excited. I think it wasn't just one guy going yeah. There was a whole crowd. If you were
at the front of that crowd, this is the thing. In the Bethesda conference, I just got the feeling that those people were just shouting at shite. Whereas if I was sitting in the front of that and I saw the things that I saw in the Final Fantasy VII Remake reveal, I'd have been like, holy fuck!
Yeah.
No! Woo,
I'm at this point like 95% sure that if Paddy had been at the front of the Final Fantasy VII reveal, yes, but even this year, I think he would have been arrested for stripping naked and running around the theatre, frankly.
Yeah.
And James, 7's not even my favourite one. Oh, just think what had happened if they did this with 9. Oh.
Yeah, I think you probably your child would be finishing it off for you, I think. So, James, what did you think of the opening trailer?
Yeah, it's good. They thanked everyone for their patience. I thought that was appropriate and a fairly sort of nice way of putting it. I still don't know not what this game is, but it was announced, and then there was the talk of, it's going to be episodic. Where are they going to break up? How are they going to break up? They mentioned this is 2 Blu-ray discs. Is that one for the first episode and one for the second, or is that 2 for this bit now?
No, there are 2 Blu-ray discs worth of stuff in Midgar apparently.
Yeah.
I still don't know how they're breaking this game up and selling it, and therefore, I guess the cynical read is they're going to split it up into, I mean, how many episodes? They could do one for every 10 hours of gameplay from the
one for every
original
disc,
game, couldn't they? I mean, it's like,
Well, I've been talking to a friend of mine who's heard a thing. Obviously, validity of this to be discussed later. But he was right about the release date, so I'm willing to kind of put some credence behind this.
I know who it is. I just clicked. Yeah, go on.
No, it's no one important. There could be 7. Because, I mean, Midgar's not that much of the game in the original. It's 5-6 hours and you're out. If they take it up to even, the Temple of the Ancients, that's a long stretch. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. Who knows? I'd like it to be 3. 2 or 3, I think, would be reasonable. But I say, if this is the start of the game is just Midgar, that is a very, very, very strange place to put that break.
So, I guess my question then is for both of you guys, as people who are excited about this, both as a remake and for what you've seen of it. So, both for what it represents with nostalgia, but also for what it appears to be now. If this was split up into 5 or 6 episodes and could therefore take a decade to come out, and they're charging you potentially 40 quid every single time for that, is that still woo, yeah, excited, or is that, oh, hang on, they're taking the piss now?
Here's the thing. The first one, 100%. I'm in on that, day one, don't care, that's happening.
Yeah.
Providing it goes well, then yeah, second one, probably day one. But we'll see how it goes, because if it starts to feel like it's just being arbitrarily stretched out into something far bigger and longer, but like that doesn't feel like it needs to be, then we've got problems. But I don't know. I'd kind of want to see how I think that the answer to that question relates to how the episodes themselves will unravel and how big of a chunk they're going to split up in. Because the thing is, fucking the game's enormous. Like, from playing it back on the Vita, on my Vita, I've just literally got to just the second disc. I've just about got to the second disc.
Yeah,
there's a lot of places. And I'm using a guide, so I'm just strolling through it. Like, I'm just easily just kind of put the best stuff on, pick this up, this will get you through the next level, there's Sephiroth. Like, it's easy. But, I don't know. Depends on how it stretches out and how many discs it ends up being.
Yeah.
I think I'd be okay with 3. Any more than 3, I would have to very seriously have a look at them and think, do I want to spend 160, 200 pounds on playing this game again? As much work as they've put in and as good as this looks.
Well, because that's the thing. Looking at this, you think, okay, a game with this sort of production values, they could split it up into 10, 15-hour chunks. People would pay would pay full price for a game that was a campaign of 10 to 15 hours. So, like, looking at it from that perspective, compared to modern day pricing and value and expectations of video games, if they go all in on this, it could be 5 episodes each of $60, 40 quid. And I think the interesting thing for me looking on is, actually, by reputation and by the amount of content in this game, if they do that justice, they could have a situation where people are actually thrilled to get that much game, even if it is expensive and spread out over 10 years.
I'd agree, 10 good, action-packed, interesting, different, full of interesting ideas, and, all those little weird side questy bits, and the squatting mini-game, all that stuff. If all that's in there, alright.
It is.
Yeah. Oh, what a good trailer, though. Got excited.
Right, I've got some sort of insight and insider knowledge in inverted commas on this as well, with regards to the reactions that have happened to the offstage demos as well. And there's been two. One which the majority of journos played, and one which a select bunch of them sort of sat in on. And I think even prior to that, the fact that Square Enix folks are saying that, this was announced 5 years ago, was it 4 or 5 years ago? And the fact that things haven't been working out with the people that they've gotten to do the game, and they pulled it back in-house, suggests to me a degree of quality. And I don't think with a Final Fantasy game, with the prestige that this has got, that they could afford to have something like what happened with Final Fantasy XI happen sort of here. Everybody was still expecting it to be all hacky slashy against the enemies, and in the demo that they put out on stage, they showed that that's not the case. And the combat system actually sounds really good. And
they described it as hybrid gameplay, real time meets tactical. I think is kind of what I've written here. Yeah.
I'm glad they're making this now after they've made 15, because you can see the DNA kind of from that plug through. I think if they'd have made this 5 years earlier when 15 wasn't out and they were using, say, 13 as the base, I don't think this would have been anywhere near as exciting.
On the face of it looks like 15's combat. It isn't.
But you can see the DNA. I mean, it's different, but you can see there's a through way through. They've learned.
But, I mean, we saw the hack-slash sort of type stuff, and then we saw the more strategic mode that you could go into. You can go into that at any point. One of the nice things that I found out today was that there's actually a level of strategy in whether you fight as Cloud and you sort of hit the enemies, or if you take damage and build up your limit break. So that is an option that you've got as well. What else were they saying? They said that by pressing triangle, you could go into Punisher mode, and they were curious as to whether there'd be different unlocks that you could choose as you go on. But Cloud would then have a much slower attack with a bigger build-up, but it would do far more damage. But if anybody shot you whilst you were building up for that, it would stagger you and pull you out of it entirely. Sure. They said that, say with the fight with the Scorpion tank, that you could do the dodge, and that was okay with certain attacks, but in other ones it was better to block and take the damage. To take a degree of damage. That there are certain limit breaks that you will build up, and there are certain abilities like cross slash that you will have available to you anyway. And they even said that if you're controlling a character and that character, say, gets somebody else grabs them or tackles them to the ground or something like that, that you then have to switch characters and try and get yourself out of it. Otherwise, you will essentially lose massive amounts of energy. So that character switching is really important. And they said that the talk between, say, Barrett and Cloud was really, really good. There was even some stuff where they said when they were hacking to get in, I forget is it Jessie? Hands you this sort of bit of technology, and she was like, yeah, you need to remember this. And she carries on hacking, and it's like a welcome to Avalanche video. And it essentially just runs you through all the things in the game, like, a potion will give you health, like a Phoenix Down will help revive a teammate, and it's all done in this promotional video as she's hacking. She's like, not got much time, you've got to remember this. And I was like, that's really good. Somebody said, is the elevator sequence in there? And it was in the second of the demos that was seen. And they said there's so much more character in the other members of Avalanche as you're going through. And they said Barrett was standing there next to Cloud, and I think it was something like Wedge goes so how do you two know each other? Is it Tifa? And Barrett just goes, shut up. And Cloud just looks away and just goes, I'm just here for the money, then I'm gone. And they were like, oh my god, that was really good. They were even saying that the rest of the crew, as they were going in, Cloud would go into these big battles, and the rest of the crew hadn't really got a clue who he was, and he was going into these huge battles and like taking on these guys. And around the edges of the scene, you will see like Wedge and stuff sneaking around in the background to get to the other stuff. And I was like, that is so good. And it's all these little bits that make me think they've kind of dotted the I's and crossed the T's here. Because with such a passionate fan base, if something comes across as cheesy or crap or winky, somebody would speak out about it that's a really big fan. But most of them, when they've seen this sort of stuff, are just grinning like loons, because it feels like an expansion of the things that they knew, but really lovingly and humorously done. And that to me seems super cool.
Can only agree. Can only agree.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I was finding out about tonight, and just nodding, just going, oh, that sounds great. That sounds really good. I like that. So yeah, and because I think in the main Journo demo they started from part way through the bombing run, and in the other one that certain people saw afterwards, they did right from the start of bombing run, which was like, yeah, it sounds really good.
I'm very excited. All that stuff you talked about with the mechanical things where you're actively playing and you can slot some stuff on if you want. Like if you're always casting lightning, just stick lightning on your thing and you can throw it down without slow-mo. The slow-mo thing was very pretty. I like the ATB changes, like you're still doing stuff while you're waiting for your bar to charge. Like the talking, like you say, just the comments back and forward were really fun. Like really characterful. They worked. I think the voice actors were really good as well. Even the fonts were good. The fonts on all the words. Like, you know when you pull back and you can see, like, a shot of Midgar and there's a sign on the wall that says, like, it's like Journey or Liberty or something like that on the wall.
Eggs and chips.
Yeah, all the fonts are really like, that's a 1998 font, for sure. They're nailing it. They're really not pissing about. And I love that. This
looked like, with all the faffing about, that it was 90% chance that this was going to be, because that all of that could have died, and I think that that they showed on stage, but they showed such confidence in what they got that they not only showed the trailer at the start, they then went into a long spiel about the mission and all the nuances of the combat. Then they went into the big Scorpion tank stuff. Then they teased Tifa before they even gave you Tifa, and you saw, like, is it Marnie, a little girl?
Marlene, yeah,
Marlene, that's it. And then you saw Tifa kicking ass, and it just they gave it to us piecemeal, but they knew what they got, and they thought all of that through. Yeah. And there was even one stream that I was watching where they said that the guy that came out on stage and sort of annotated most of it. On this stream, they were going like, "Oh look, it's a guy from marketing," and that guy was fantastic. He was so enthusiastic, and he looked a little bit like that Final Fantasy boy that you like in 15, the one that's voiced by T-Bastard from Destiny. The one with,
do you mean Ignis, the best one?
No, that is Ignis, yeah.
But, I've come up with a new recipe.
There were lots of subtleties in there, like there was the where they showed sort of the Buster Sword, and you saw Cloud, and you got private joke.
No one's going to understand.
No, we saw.
We're not going to explain it. We're not going to.
No, I'm going to. We saw somebody in Dauntless who was called Funnier Cloud, and we kind of workshopped it. But yeah. When you saw the materia inside the Buster Sword, everybody just went, "Oh, you can see it," and that's again shows a lot of the subtleties that they've put into it. Plus, the redesign on Cloud looks nice as well. I wasn't crazy about it on that 2015 one, but it looks like they've figured it out.
I think with all three, like with Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, and I suppose Aerith as well, we've seen as well.
Sephiroth.
Their outfits, and Sephiroth. Their outfits all look like workable. They don't look ridiculous. They very well could have done. They could have looked, and we'll get to this later in the show, to anime. They didn't. They looked like appropriate, and I love, like, without losing any of the original character. I don't think they all looked like themselves.
Did you see the thing on, was it on Eurogamer today, where they said, I might have seen it on Twitter actually, where they said that Square Enix has actually got an ethics department now, and that they were talking about sort of Tifa, and they were like, look, she's really cool, but we don't want to kind of emphasize the sexuality because she, and again, her costume I thought was fantastic.
The mistake they made was telling the internet.
Why, if they reacted badly?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, comments under any article written about it are apparently something to behold. I decided better of that. I mean, we've been through this. Mortal Kombat 11 got very much the same because they dared to change the character design away from whatever those were in Mortal Kombat 9 and actually attempt in some ways to go towards designing characters that look like they are believable human beings that exist rather than caricatures. And
I mean, you can this can sort of go both ways for me. Art is art, and I don't mind a little bit of sizzle along with a little realism. But for me, that they looked like they'd hit the sweet spot here because she looked like Tifa, but kind of. I remember at the time, like, looking at it, it's like, oh, she looks like she's got a sports bra on underneath the top. And everything, it just seemed good. Not sort of knee-jerk decisions of, we need to do this, we need to do this. It looked like, again, very considered decisions, and I kind of dig that. And the fact that apparently the dressing up Cloud as a lady thing is still going to be in there. The squatching stuff's still going to be in there. It's, I don't know, it's just ticking all boxes for me, this.
And I think it is obviously the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, but it seems remarkably smart to have put together, even if it's just for this game, some kind of ethics and just some group of people who are going to consider whether, if you're bringing a game from 1998 forward to 2020, what works and can stay and what doesn't and may need some adjustment, because a lot of stuff that was deemed okay, or at least the complaints about it in the 90s just weren't heard, will be now, and that's something that could and should be looked at. Not only why that is, and academics can look at that, and people who comment on the way society changes, but in order to make this as resonant now as for some people who never played the original game, and hopefully for those who did, you need to think about what's changed and what doesn't work and what could undercut this game if it wasn't adjusted, tweaked, or just reinvigorated, and changing the focus of something, even if you don't change the actual thing itself, is an important thing to do. I think it's really smart.
So yeah, I don't think we're all in agreement. This looks a bit of a doozy.
Superb presentation as well. I thought it was paced brilliant. Showed off everything I wanted to know. They told me. I was like,
But they showed us gameplay, and there was so little of that at E3. And that, again, this kind of comes back to the way that I judge every other part of this, is the fact that they seemed so sincere and confident with everything that they'd gotten. They didn't have to kind of fart about here and there and cut back to stuff that underwhelmed, or all of it was just like, oh my word, oh we're going to get Tifa? Not quite yet. And it was just beautifully done. And I think the only bizarre thing was it that fella's shorts, which was just it did look like he'd been mugged and had his trousers cut in half. Very strange. Very strange.
So March the 3rd, 2020, Motorcycle Edition as well.
Which is probably sold out within no time, I think. I'm probably
sure,
before the presentation had finished.
I'm sure. Yeah, and a gameplay section that shows that if you're smart about the gameplay section you choose for most action games, show gameplay, be confident in it. and if you don't show gameplay, that suggests to me you're not confident in it.
Yeah, it was funny that they had this at the start of the show, and then they had something which was just an absolute cobbled together misfire at the end of it.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that later, won't we?
We will. Shut up, you. So Life is Strange 2, trailer video of YouTubers and streamers getting invested. I thought it was pretty touching, honestly.
I didn't like it, I'm afraid. If they'd had every one of these people sitting down giving their thoughts on the game, I'd have thought that was really cool. Very rarely, if I don't know the beats and what they're reacting to, very rarely is a sizzle reel of people reacting to something gonna impact me. That could be anything. It could be someone showing them a picture of a bus that's upside down and them going I mean it didn't do it for me, I'm afraid. I don't know why.
See, I'm just gonna give me just one. Hang on. Just lowering myself onto the fence
Paddy's
here.
doing a bit.
Just apply myself to the fence. Yeah, I was medium on this. I like the idea of the sizzle reel with people reacting to stuff, but I also find, like, again, without knowing what the reactions are, or, I mean, some of these, YouTube people do like to overreact. There was a certain Irish man on there that I know likes to overreact. Like, oh, okay, so that's probably something mildly sad has happened and he's crying. Okay, I see. But, I mean, I've never played Life is Strange. I know I should have at this point, and I've had it from Plus, and I should have got round to it. But again, it's I'm much like too many games, James. There just are not enough hours in the day. But I do want to get to it. But, the trailer was good, and it made me want to try the game out. So I suppose that worked, I guess. But I just, I wasn't too big a fan of the YouTuber. Hey, look, famous people reacted to it. Look. But, good trailer. I want to play the game now, so I guess it works. And I'll just lower myself back off the fence now.
Have either of you sort of played this or played the first one for that matter?
No.
No, just haven't got around to it. I've heard as many positive things as negative things about the first season. I understand that it's divisive, but everything I heard was like, oh, I really should get round to playing this at some point. And then Before the Storm, and then Captain Underpants or whatever it was, and then this one, it's just like at a certain point I need to carve out like 2 weeks of solid playing to get through it, and it's just, I'm sure I'll get around to it at some point, but I feel like I've missed the boat somewhat.
Because the last year's special sort of appears to be affecting Life is Strange 2 now, and that I've not played the special, but I quite fancied it this time last year, and the fact that it is impacting this does sort of make me curious. But again, it's making time for it in the amount of stuff that we can do. And in all honesty, with working in retail and speaking to people for kind of however many hours a day, a lot of the time you just want to sink into something that isn't chatty when you get home.
Absolutely.
So it's a difficult ask in that regard. So I don't know.
I should say, reference to last year, the Adventure of Captain Spirit, is that it? I think
that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, I wasn't saying Captain Underpants or whatever to be disparaging. I literally couldn't remember what it was called, and that's the first phrase that came to mind. I really liked the look of that, and that was one of those, I really should go and play Life is Strange, and taking a leaf out of Paddy's book, I didn't want to jump in with Captain Spirit until I'd played what came before, because as always, even if it's divorced and disconnected, it was made with what came before it in mind, so I prefer to experience it that way. Weird thing at the end of the trailer they showed, it said play today. It's like, well, no shit, it's been out or on its way out for best part of a year now since the first episode came out.
That was a strange pull at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is it all out now? I thought it was still coming out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so episode 5 is due in like November, December time, and whatever we've got between now and then is coming out between now and then. So I wasn't sure if there was an episode coming out that week, but it looked like they were just saying Season 2 play today, which I was like, well, yeah, but you started last August or something with Episode 1, so it seemed really bizarre. I guess for people who didn't know you need play today there, and E3 is the place where that's going to be shown to people who might not know, but it's just a bit head scratching.
So we then had Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which is an old GameCube game remastered, now with online stuff. An old bandmate of mine, Adam, played this with his then girlfriend, now wife, at the time, and really liked it. Come out on PS4, Switch, and phones. What did we reckon?
I had it on. I think we rented it or borrowed it from someone, the GameCube, but because we didn't have the DSs or the Game Boys to plug in, so we all had our own little screen.
Yeah.
We never actually got around to playing it. And it always looked like that looks like a really cool, fun, different co-op thing we can play together. Yeah, let's do that. And we just never got around to getting the tech to make it happen. I think a big part of it is you've got your own little screen, haven't you? Like someone's in charge of the map and someone's in charge of the item box and stuff, isn't it? That's the way I remember it. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, the internet. I'm trying. How that works on a PS4, like locally, I don't know. You don't have a screen on your controller. Yeah, it's a strange one because it seems like it was made for that. It always seemed like a game that was made for that particular setup where you've each got a little screen to yourself and then there's the big main screen on the telly. I don't know if that translates good. I'm sure they've got a way around it. I'm sure they might have done away with the everyone's got their own thing part. Maybe you've just got a mini map on the screen now.
I mean,
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I must say I have not looked into anything about this remaster, so I could be talking fully out of my arse.
Sony also have, specifically Sony talking about here for PlayStation 4, they also have the Play thingy, which that a bunch of games come out for that tied up with mobile phones.
Oh, shit. PlayLink. Oh, actually.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thought.
Hidden Agenda
that was
or
good.
whatever was one of them, yeah. Where you could play aspects on your phone and then on the screen it reflected it. So,
that's very good.
Yeah, no, I remember playing, we downloaded That's You.
Sure.
Game where it asks you.
There was 4 or 5 of them a couple of years ago, wasn't there? That they kind of announced.
That's You being the MVP. We had that at Christmas. We had me and Laura and my sister and her other half, my mum and dad, and we played that together. And it was one of the funniest things we've ever played.
Yeah,
we actually made Laura cry through tears of laughter. It says, "What animal most represents Laura?" And all 6 of us picked the sloth. It was incredible. And she just looked at us like,
"Sure, she was crying with laughter."
It was definitely laugh cry. Right, okay. I did check, and she's like, "Oh my god, that's not fair!" Like, it's very accurate, Laura. You know it. She's like, "I know. That's why I'm sad."
The future, Mummy, tell me about Daddy. And his body was never found. No, it was not.
Yes,
that's a good thought. I hadn't considered that. If they do that,
that's just off the top of my head. Obviously, no idea, and they didn't announce it as such. So
true.
But yeah.
So we then had Octopath Traveler coming to PC. I will say, how long until PS4 and Xbox One ports now? That game does look super beautiful, and I would very, very much like to play it. But again, it's hours in the day. Also,
I've heard it's a bit of
its price.
I've heard it's a bit of a drag to actually play, though. I've heard it's style over substance a bit, and the actual game is just long and slow, and that's not in a game like this. Make it fun. No,
I think because you've got so many characters that you can investigate their story before they move on with everybody else. People can play it as quickly or as slowly as they want to, and it's exactly how much you invest in it. Because likewise, I've seen that argument, but I've also seen people that completely fell in love with all of it.
I would mixed reviews on Metacritic, shall we say?
Yeah, I do love that look of it, though. My word.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we then had Last Remnant Remastered, which was a Switch shadow drop.
Yep.
As I understand it, because I was watching Co Carnage's stream on the E3 conferences, and he said that originally there was no point really in leveling up your character, because however much you leveled up, the bosses would sort of scale with how much you'd leveled up anyway. So you couldn't go in sort of overpowered, and there wasn't really much point in grinding. But I saw something after that which said that this is taking its cues from the PC version, which rebalanced all that. So a strange one to see back again, but it's probably got its fans, and a few people undoubtedly have been sort of quite happy to see it just turn up out of nowhere. Plus, nice of them to drop this thing just out of nowhere and just go, it's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it came out on PS4 a few months back, didn't it?
Yeah, I want to say yes. I don't know. I never played it. It looks fun.
It did.
Probably. Sorry, I have no more commentary.
Dragon Quest Builders 2.
I've got some stuff on this.
Cool. Bigger 4-player co-op. Demo June 27th. More of a story this time. I thought it was a great trailer. Really well. Sort of the guy that was giving the commentary with top, he was really seemed to be into it and hyping it up. You can tender crops this time as well as building. You can all get together and sort of build a community online. It just looked like it had taken the DNA of the first game, which is a great game, and has expanded it even further. Like, really impressed.
Yeah, well, this is all about Laura for me. This was her game of the year on the year that it came out. She played hours of this. I think I plopped her in front of the demo and said, "Oh, give it a go. You might enjoy it. It's a bit like Minecraft." And she went, "Yeah, maybe. I don't like the look." And I went for a bath, and I came back and she had not moved, which was fun. This looks like more bigger car. They've put a car in it now. That's cool. The co-op seems fun, although they've added this weird sub-character, which I believe is to balance it in case you're not playing it in co-op. So it's like a little angry-looking Dragon Ball-looking dude that goes around and just fights stuff. I mean, they're all Dragon Ball-looking dudes, aren't they? Because it's Toriyama. But it's, it's a long-haired dude that follows you around and beats shit up with you. That seems fun. Me and Laura had entirely opposite reactions to one character that we met, which was the friendly farm worm in your farms. And Laura, the farm showed up, and Laura sort of cringed and went, "Farming!" as she's known to do, because she likes to do farming and picking up sticks in a forest, so this does fall within her interests. And I was like, "Oh, cool, look at that cool helping worm." And she's like, "I don't like him and I don't want him near my farm." Get him away.
Has Laura seen the demo for this?
Yeah, yes.
A little bit. How did she react?
She's like, "Ooh." She made that noise she makes when she gets something she likes. She goes, "Ooh." So no doubt we'll be downloading that and trying that out. A little thing.
I remember watching Holly Bennett on stream playing this, and Holly was very particular about which kind of floor tiles she was laying down, and that everything was balanced. And she was like super neat, and it's some of my favourite streams of Holly's when she's completely nerding out about the OCD of like how many tiles are where and what balances it, and just taking entire walls down and then rebuilding them because they're then symmetrical with other bits. And yeah, it was great fun. Like, some of my favourite streams have been.
Don't even get me started on the amount of hours I've had to watch Laura change carpets.
we nodding silently at that point, like yep.
Oh god, here we go again. It's happening again. Laura does the same thing. She gets the rooms looking beautiful. They don't just have to work; they have to look nice as well. And there is a lot of like stuff in there that you can play with, and she likes to have like one of everything as well. So she likes to have everything built and different rooms, and yeah, it'll eat her alive. The mini map has been added, which is new, and Laura thought that was a nice little small change that's going to make her life infinitely easier because the first game does not have a mini map. This one does, which is, considering everything's bigger, I think a good idea. She enjoyed the little online bit at the end, even though she probably won't play it online, which was the 4 characters sitting there like with like a little sort of a tiny little pool and some sun lounges and kind of floating around in a turtle shell. That was cool. She enjoyed that. She laughed at that. The only problem is we probably won't get it straight away because she's just kind of got off the back of another Dragon Quest Builders kind of like run, I guess. Where she's preggo and tired and just wants to play something easy and cheerful and buildy. She's been playing that and doesn't want to burn out on it too much.
Yeah.
So we're not probably going to get it straight away, but we will be playing Crash Team Racing in a couple of days' time, and that will probably keep her going until we're ready to get this.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Yeah, just I know this is the middle of the Square conference, not the place to add. I've just seen they've announced like free DLC coming for Crash Team Racing, and the third one they're doing, Spyro the Dragon themed shit.
Oh, I did see a bit of that on Twitter, and I didn't completely know if that was a new announcement or not. But
well, I told Laura, and she just kind of did that thing where she freezes up and goes, "Argh!" So I think I surprised her with that one. But yeah, no, this DQB2, again, good presentation, good trailer, nice trailer. Just, the guy, again, like you say, the guy who presented it did a really good job. Just looks like more again, which is good. It's what you want in a game like this, more again.
But they've added so much to it. It just seems like they've had the basis, and then all this ambition has kind of burst out, and that's always great to see.
Yeah. It so easily could have been a Minecraft rip-off type thing, and it isn't, and I like that. It's got its own identity, and I love that.
And I do like as well where, obviously the first one, they put a lot of work into making it really fun. I've heard from anyone who's tried it, it's really, really fun. But clearly it was a bit of a surprise hit. I don't think anyone expected it to do quite as well as it did.
No. I'll tell you why I think it did. Because they super smartly decided to put a demo before it came out. Yep. And I know loads of people who had not really the foggiest idea about that game, but just thought oh yeah, I'll give the demo a go, and suddenly we're just like, oh, this is really good. Yeah. Who knew that demos could do that?
Would you have said that people's opinion would have been, no demo, no buy?
That's well done.
Thanks.
That was the most begrudging well done I've heard.
No, that was genuinely inventive, but I don't think you fully committed to the bit.
If I had, no, I'm not fully committed to the bit because that'll get me in trouble again.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that again. So yeah, I think it's when a game's a bit of a surprise hit, I love that it allows the developer to go back and all the stuff that they couldn't convince people they needed to put in the first one. They couldn't convince them to give them the extra budget, the extra time, whatever it might be. It all gets... Then it's just like, yes, go, do it. All that stuff you wanted to have in. Even stuff like a mini-map. That's the sort of thing where it's like either they maybe didn't realise it would be helpful or they just didn't have a way to get it implemented with the scope of the first game. And it's just like, yeah, get that in.
Or friendly
there,
farm worms. Turns out there is an audience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. My only note for Dragon Quest Builders 2, other than dramatic voiceover, was the words that popped up: explore, bigger, battle, harvest, unite. Bigger's not a verb, and it really stands out. If you're going to pick 5 words to put up as your big talking points, it's like, make them consistent with one another, maybe.
What word would you have picked then? I'm curious to choose. What verb would you have picked?
Honestly, I don't know, but it just stands out that that 4 of the 5 words are things you're doing, and one of them is more. Just weird.
Not inaccurate, though.
No, absolutely perfectly accurate. It's just something at the back of my brain started an itch that I couldn't scratch to get rid of that mild annoyance at the fact that the words kind of didn't fit. But fit the game, just didn't fit one another, maybe.
Explore, exacerbate.
Yeah.
So we then had Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition.
Yeah, one of those nice, easy, short titles. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody quite knows where the S goes on that, so I was just guessing.
Secos.
So new story's been added. There's an orchestral soundtrack this time, which I believe might just be in the overworld though. There's a retro mode, as seen on the 3DS edition, and in this I kind of got the impression that you could go back in time or something and you could have that old sort of top down look.
I had no idea. I didn't get that at all. I even wrote I don't get it about the retro thing. I don't get it because there seemed to be cutscenes happening and then it would cut to a old school SNES looking look of the same cutscene happening on a SNES background. You're like, what's the aim here? I don't get it.
I'm curious about is as to whether the PS4 version is going to get that extra content added, because it's been out. It will have been out a year, I think, when this comes out, and it would kind of be nice if there's extra story and extra bits and an orchestral soundtrack now to just go. Thanks for buying that last year. Here we go. Have another bash.
I imagine there are people who think it would be nice to say, "Oh, we can charge you for this again."
Yeah, good call. Because they are keeping quite quiet on that front. So,
I mean, we've seen that with other, particularly Japanese games, haven't we? Where they can't necessarily justify putting out a whole new version for a console, for a SKU they've already released. Like Nier, for example, when it came to Xbox, it got the Be As Gods edition. That didn't at the time come to PS4, and then they went back and put in essentially a Game of the Year edition after that. So they didn't really keep PS4 up with the version that came out on Xbox. They went back after the fact. So it's sometimes a little funky getting publishing and distribution sorted for games outside their usual territories, I guess.
My word, what a game. Also, with the first game, I will say one of my favourite ever Kane and Rince episodes, which you were in.
Massive fan of that, and I still haven't played Automata. Last year? Was it last year? It came
James?
to
What?
James.
Because I remember. Don't ask me. I have not found time for it because I know.
Mr. James Carter Esquire. This isn't another game. This is and
this
especially
is a
your
follow-up
connection
to one of
to
my
the
top
first
10
one.
favourite games of all time. Yeah.
Oh my god! Don't veer into like my nemesis, who I formerly used to work with, Casualty. Used to go like, oh yeah, it doesn't seem to be dropping in price on Xbox. I was like, that's because it's selling. That's because people are buying it because it is sort of
that's
the best.
100% not the issue at all. In fact, I had bought it, or the Steam version when it came out, I picked up, but then I heard it had some issues and thought, you know what, I'll refund this and I'll pick it up on PS4, and I just didn't. And then it came to Xbox when I'd got or was getting my X, and I was like, well, obviously I'll play it on Xbox, I'll pick it up there, and I just never did. It's not a question of not wanting to pay full amount.
James.
It's literally just I've not yet picked it up.
Too many games, James. At it again.
James.
Hello.
It's special.
I know.
My word, it's special. And I remember how you enthused and nerded out and went into so much detail about the first one.
One of my top 10 favourite games of all time, the first one. Which also, to be fair, does add a little bit of trepidation, because I've heard so many people say so many good things about the second one, and it's like, well, does that mean, there's a certain amount of, okay, it's never going to live up to my expectations, because I have unfair expectations. Fear over that. I'm not saying it won't, but my fear is that it won't. And second of all, it's like, well, if a lot of people who didn't really play or like the first game then like the second one, does that mean it's changed from what I might expect? And probably not, and I should just get started on it, but that's always at the back of my mind as well. But
I'll tell you what, I can sell it to you. Let me sell it to you. I will prioritise it for you. Watch this, right? So you trust me and CJ, kind of, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so last year, CJ, what was your game of the year last year?
It was Nier Automata.
CJ, what was my game of the year before?
We made Twin Humanities history with this one.
It was Nier Automata.
I loved lulling you into a false sense of security, and that false sense of security was knowing as I started singing about it, and then you went, no!
I've worked it out. Now, I also love the original Nier. It is one of my top games as well. I love that thing to goddamn pieces. I bought it and I played it, and when I finished the original Nier, I said, right, I'm never touching that again. That was perfect. I'm putting it away now, and I'm never playing it again, because that was the perfect run. I don't want to touch it again. I got the real ending. I'm done. Okay?
Oh, you mean when you first got to the credits?
No, I mean the good ending. The final.
Yeah.
The good ending. Yeah, right, the real one. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
For a second,
Automata,
I thought you meant you just played through A and stopped, and I was like,
yeah, it's a good game, Batman. Yeah. Okay, Nier Automata, I also will now not put back in the computer. I will not put it back in. It is done. I have had the perfect run. I don't need to play it again. It was perfect.
You see, the only game that I feel that way about, and that I don't want to overwrite my old memories about it, is because it was so special to me, is BioShock 2.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but it's weird with favourite games. You always hear folks really going on about, oh yeah, I'm going to do another run of that. I'm going to do a run of that, and it's something that I've always been curious to bring up with people. Is there any game that you can't go back to because you don't want to overwrite those memories, or you're nervous to venture into there again?
So with Nier, obviously, there's kind of two things that are almost specific to it, which is the first is by the time you've actually seen the endings and got to the full end of the game, you've played through the back half of that game several times anyway, so the repetition's almost built in. And the second is that the first playthrough is kind of designed to be a first playthrough where you don't know what's going on, and then subsequent playthroughs you're supposed to be building on that. So playing through a game from scratch, you're not necessarily going to build on your first playthrough understanding in the way you would with, say, a Dark Souls or something, where you see new stuff and a different perspective on things, because you've already got that subsequent perspective, that reevaluation kind of baked into the kind of, in Nier's case, A to D endings of the game. So,
it's kind of funny that the tangent that we did go off on was actually a Square game, so that makes it fine.
Yeah.
Man, what a game!
I never considered it off topic. Never considered it off topic for a second.
James, please.
Yeah, I know, and it's there on my list that I'm needing to get to.
You see, I went into it kind of with Paddy having kind of given me shit because it was finally turning up on Xbox, so I said I was going to pick it up. I think it was pretty high on my list last year of favourites. But I got in the back of my head sort of all this build-up about how people loved the first game and how those people really loved the second game. And yet I went into it sort of, with a sort of cocked eyebrow a little bit and sort of like, right then, impress me. And it did. And then I just started getting invested and emotional, and it just, the level of sort of invention wowed me. I love the art style. Jesus Christ, that soundtrack. Just all of it. It floored me. Truly floored me. Right. The Square Enix Collective. There was a trailer of the games in the programme thus far. We then had Circuit Superstars, which was cute. It looked like Super Sprint in the arcades, or Gremlin Graphics Supercars, with its top-down viewpoint and kind of lovely brumsters. I thought that looked nice.
Yeah,
looked a little Micro Machines.
E.
Look at. Did you say Micro Machines E? Because that's also what I've written.
Yeah, I said Micro Machines E.
Yeah, I've also added the E. Yeah,
a few of the American reactions that saw it were just like, "Is it RC Pro-Am?"
I think it was cool. Yeah, top down, cute. It's cute. I can't say anything else than it looks cute.
Also, the devs look like genuinely lovely people. Yeah, they came across well in that little bit, and I'm glad it wasn't a realistic behind the wheel type game. It just
I really like engines. Oh.
Is that you speaking for yourself?
I'm trying to impress my dad. Shut up.
Okay. Battalion 1944, a PC multiplayer game that apparently looks like COD World War II or something. It's only $20. But
look like Medal of Honor, like the older ones.
Yeah, one of the streams that I watched, a few fans of the older style shooters were getting a little bit sort of giddy about this, which was nice.
CJ, you said it looks a bit like COD. Paddy says it looks a little bit like Medal of Honor. I've written Battlefield-alike. So there you go. It's a World War II shooter or that kind of style. Looks fine. And back in the Xbox Live Arcade games, there was a couple of these kind of came through of, lower priced, feature-wise maybe a bit more bare bones, a bit more straightforward, but shooters that run well, are online based, and people can just jump into, get a match going, nice and straightforward. If they can stop themselves needing character or account level ups and stuff, then it'll just be a really straightforward, fundamental shooter. Fine.
So we then had Square Soundtracks now on streaming services.
Yep, which has been quite a lot of excitement I've seen on Twitter and in Slack chat and stuff of finally Final Fantasy soundtracks and the like getting onto Spotify and the rest. So yeah.
Weird announcement for me because we've got a million of them on the computer, and it's like, but we have all those legally, of course. Don't even.
Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. I don't know.
Right. Did anyone else like all those things they were saying and the quotes they were putting on screen? My favourite one was, "The coat wards off darkness." I started laughing at that one and couldn't take any more of it seriously.
Yeah, but maybe it's because you're not sort of super into the series. Because I saw on one of the Giant Bomb sort of chats with various people across the industry, there was one lass from, I think she was Waypoint, and they got her onto this, and she was just like, "Oh well, it can't be that character at that point in time because his eyes are different," and she was just glowing about
Natalie Watson is who you're thinking of. Yeah,
she was fantastic, but she was glowing with how much she knew about the series and how the speculation and how excited she was. And even if something isn't for me, it's wonderful to see just somebody light up when one of their favourite things comes to light, and you know the potential that they're going to know more. And yeah, it was just a real joy.
So Waypoint actually did a huge multi-podcast series on Kingdom Hearts lore, where they just went through and pulled everything apart and talked about it all in the lead up to Kingdom Hearts 3 and then about Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. And yeah, when you hear someone who is a fan of Kingdom Hearts talk about Kingdom Hearts, it is one of those, I am so pleased for you that these games are everything that they mean to you. And unsurprising, it's getting DLC. I think the only surprising thing for me is they're going all out this soon. It's not going to be some expansion that comes out a year down the line or whatever. It's just, no, DLC, here we go, let's get going on it, because that game, I imagine some people forget about it by the time it comes to kind of end of the year stuff, but there's going to be plenty of people don't, because it's kind of a game they've waited for a decade or whatever it is at this point. Yeah. And that's it's really cool that Square didn't just kind of say, okay, we've done it now, that's us. They've recognised the kind of success that series gets and the attention it gets.
Anything to add, Mr. Patrick?
Literally, I've written Kingdom Farts again.
Wow.
Third year in a row.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm glad people enjoy it. It's just so far away from my cup of tea. It's coffee, is what it is.
And yet, I haven't played it, so there we go. So then we had Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, Naoki Yoshida, fighting creatures of primordial light called Sin Eaters that were once people corrupted by the light. Hence, you must become the darkness. I thought that was a really cool premise. They announced that there's 16 million registered users, highest numbers of subscribers, current subscribers in the game's history. I thought it was a really strong trailer, and I hear nothing but good things about this game. Nothing.
Yeah. I would say we could probably just take everything we just said about Kingdom Hearts here and just apply it to this as well, because again, this means I tried the demo when it came out a while ago on the PS4, and it was okay, but it's just really not my sort of thing. But the people I know that love it. It has consumed them. In a good way, though. And again, you see people talking about it all the time, and like they're very clearly invested and just having the best time. And this looks like more of that. Yeah, again, completely over my head by about 12 feet. But the trailer looked nice. It was a nice game.
I thought it was really well done. And that premise is fantastic. I think it's great.
There was a Gunblade as well. I saw a Gunblade.
Did you see somebody asked Naoki Yoshida if they were going to do a Final Fantasy XIV Classic Edition? He was just like, what a nightmare. No, I'm not going anywhere near that. But yeah, I thought that was neat. James?
So yeah, this, I guess in many ways is kind of in the same bucket as Elder Scrolls Online, just from the point of view of, I recognise there are a lot of people who play this game, and it's just never going to be for me. But I'm really pleased that these companies do spend the time catering to a significant portion of their fan base that do play the MMO games. But in this case, this game has such just one of those No Man's Sky, or one of those games that just got turned around. They went back to the drawing board. They turned it completely around with Rebirth, was it? Was that
A
what
Realm Reborn?
Realm Reborn. Sorry, yes.
Arr.
And fantastic. They didn't just leave it to languish. They didn't just let it sputter out. They put the effort in. They completely redid the game. And this is, I think they said, their third expansion. And yeah, my only notes were 2 new jobs, 2 new playable races, really, really long trailer. But not in a begrudging way. It's just for people that means something to, that will mean everything to. That may be the game that they were watching this conference for. And so absolutely, Square Enix, you put as much of this in as you want. No begrudgment there. It's just not something I'm ever going to play.
Dying Light 2. I remember the Metric song and the end of it seeming very much like the trailer that we saw last year. Looks good, but I haven't watched any of the deep dives into this.
I like that we saw gameplay this time.
Yeah.
Compared to the last trailer we saw on whichever show it was on. Seeing them run, jump, kick, zombie, climb up thing, kick zombie.
But we saw that last year.
See, this is the thing. This game has been coming for what feels like my entire life, and I know that's not true and sounds like ridiculous hyperbole, but when they said spring 2020, they haven't even put a month, they haven't put a release date or a month on it yet.
You know how we were talking about in the Microsoft conference that last year's Halo trailer seemed like this year's and this year's seemed like last year's? Like, it's normally the sort of little teaser trailer first, and then you go a deep dive into the gameplay, and you show what it's about and the different factions. We had all that last year.
Yeah, they came out and talked through mechanics and talked through differences and talked through philosophy.
Avalon,
Chris Avalon was out before he decided to say that politics and games was optional. He prefers to ask questions. Knob. But he's making a zombie parkour game. Both aspects of that 2-word phrase are political. You unbelievable twat. Anyway, but yeah, it feels like a game that I'm surprised isn't already out, which I'm really glad they are taking their time on it. I'm absolutely thrilled they're taking their time. Hopefully that means that they're doing it right, they're doing it justice, they're not crunching to get it done, they're able to put out the game they want to put out, and it's really nice to know that they're being given the chance to do that, because we've seen plenty of games where it feels like it needed another 6 or 12 months. But it felt like a weird trailer. It was almost a reminder we're still here.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, that's what I've written in my notes. Like, we're still making it. We haven't forgotten.
Spring's looking awful crowded at this point,
Spring's
isn't
looking
it?
awful crowded, and if you wanted to start taking bets on games that were going to get pushed, it's like presuming a Cyberpunk stays where it is, presuming all the games that are coming in March stay where they are. It starts to look a lot like Dying Light's one that, not because it's not ready, but because it needs a space, might have to get pushed into summer, which...
it looks like a summer game, though, to me, anyway.
Absolutely.
Like a May, June, July game. That looks like the sort of, again, Dying Light as well. It looks like the sort of game that I'd play off on my holidays, or when there's nothing else coming out.
And the problem they've got is it's not just other companies' games that are coming out. Final Fantasy VII March. We'll get onto it, and I'm not sure it's coming out in May, but Avengers due to be released in May. So they have to leave that until late June, July to just get clear of other stuff that Square Enix are putting out.
Do you know what they should do? Do you know what they should do? They've got a marketing thing here they could do. They bring it out on the day the clocks go back, when the light dies.
Very good. I thought for a split second, I thought you were going to say they should just cancel Avengers and put this place.
That's better. No, I like yours more.
So we then had Romancing Saga 3, which I believe was a PS1 game, and Saga Scarlet Grace, which I believe was a Vita game.
The Vita! Oh my god, what year is it?
No, that one was originally a Vita game. It's their first time ever in the West. Switch, PS4 and PC. I saw some people going a little bit giddy over these.
Absolutely. It's still baffled. I understand the business reasons. It still seems kind of baffling that we have games that are released, and almost universally there are games released in Asia, generally Japan, that just don't... Well, no, to be fair, Asia, that just don't come over to the West. And obviously, for people where just their preference, the games they're interested in, the stuff they like the look of, is all those games. It just has to be so frustrating to be hearing all this buzz about a game and kind of be nervous and then find out, it's not coming out over here. So either import it and learn Japanese, or you just never get to play it. So more like this, please. Find ways to, as cheaply as possible, but as well as you can, bring games over.
Patrick?
Right.
War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius in
Strong name.
Another big long title, which is coming out on mobile. Sets out characters, houses, gameplay. The gameplay itself actually looked pretty nice, but it's phones, so I won't play it. But yeah, well played.
It looks like they've looked at it like the way they set out the houses and the clans. Like, Game of Thrones is quite popular. What if we can use that idea and set something up with that setup? That could work.
What's the game that's coming out in July on Switch? The strategy game with all the houses and the people, and I can't remember the name of it.
Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah, it looks a little bit, a wee bit sort of Fire Emblem here, but yeah, I'm sure it's super involving, and Brave Exvius has been going out for a while now, and I presume it's pretty popular. But not my bag, sadly. Outriders. People Can Fly. Ropey CG trailer with a tripod at the end. Then Ropey Vidoc. Why was it here?
This was strange because I think this is probably looks like the sort of thing that I might enjoy, but it was an odd trailer. And me and Laura both said War of the Worlds, like the same time in the same breath. We were like, War of the Worlds, this is War of the Worlds. Soundtrack was good for the trailer, but again, it was one of these CG ones that doesn't really show you anything.
No.
There's some people, big giant bad stuff's happening. Here's
you can talk all you want about it being a passion project, but if I've no idea why you're passionate about it or what I'm going to do, everything just seems redundant.
But let's tell you what we'll do though. We'll sit in a room, right, a grey room, and light you really harshly from the side, and you can just talk about stuff. Yeah, it was weird. I did like the concept art; looked suitably gross, but I mean, it didn't feel like it had enough meat in the sandwich. Yeah. It was all bread.
It's really strange when this happens, isn't it? Because even so, if this is an announcement of a game by in a really well-known series or by a really well-known, well-loved developer, it can be one of those, look, people are interested to know what they're working on, people are interested to know what's happening next in this series, whatever it might be, a Zelda or something like that. We'll just give them a teaser. It doesn't really matter if there's not a lot of substance there. It'll just get people excited and we can talk more about it later. With this one, it almost feels like for some boardroom reason they need to announce it. For some shareholder reason it needs to be mentioned, and that's a really harsh thing. People Can Fly, I made Bulletstorm. I'm a really big fan of Bulletstorm. I know it's a acquired taste of a game, but I really liked that. I thought it was something that harked back to 90s shooters in a kind of really fun way. The skill shots and stuff like that I thought was really inventive, really good fun. They made the point this is a game that's been in development since they left Epic. I've certainly wondered what they've been doing since they left Epic. I'm pretty sure this game was known about before, so this wasn't even a full reveal. And it just, as you say, CJ, if I want to hear people talk about how they're really passionate for what they're making, that's great. A little bit of detail with that passion as to why they're passionate about making it, and why I should be passionate about playing it would be great, and I just didn't get that. Yeah,
it seemed like over-egging the pudding when you didn't know what the pudding was, and you weren't even sure they'd got an egg.
Yeah, and some people won't know the chef that's making it, because if you don't happen to know the name People Can Fly, which plenty of people do, that's absolutely fine, but a lot of people don't. Then
that's a very good comment.
Succinct.
On the distinct upswing, Oninaki looked very nice. Reminded me of the DS Final Fantasy games with sort of little chibi characters and stuff. It seems to have evolved a little bit since we last saw it. Gameplay looked fantastic. Coming from Tokyo RPG Factory, I thought this was a bit of a stormer, personally.
I literally can't remember this one, and I'm going to quietly Google it.
My notes say RPG, that's it. So it clearly didn't have that much impact on me, sadly. But yeah, I think what this conference showed me was even if to me JRPG as an overall sort of term seems a fairly narrow focus, the breadth of stuff that covers is massive.
And Square seemingly knowing their audience as well, because it's nice to see them doing this stuff and bringing over games that we thought we'd never get, and even bouncing into the next one after this. But
I remember this now. I remember this.
Is such a good term for this press conference. Absolutely, fan service for people who've desperately wanted some of this stuff for years.
Paddy, have you caught up with Anunnaki now?
I have. I remember this. Yeah, 100% not my bag at all. Looks very pretty, and I like that bit in the trailer where the two characters stand back to back and shoot all the guns. That was good. That was a nice little move. That was quite stylish. That's interesting and different. Yeah, but visual style wise, it's very pretty. It's very not for me. I don't play that sort of top down Diablo-y style combat camera type things anymore. This is the same
people that did like I Am Setsuna and stuff, isn't it? Which didn't look like my sort of thing, but this looks more my sort of thing. Plus, I played, was it Final Fantasy IV on DS, and just loved that so much, and that had got a really similar look to this. So yeah, I like this a lot.
I may as well paint myself the villain now, because I'm looking at the screenshot you just described, Paddy, with the two characters back to back, bullets going everywhere. That perspective, that shot, if I was to look at what I wanted that to be, it'd be Assault Android Cactus, if I can get the words out, where it's twin stick shooter, arena based, enemies going everywhere. I would be so much more interested in this game, and knowing that it's a JRPG, I'm a bad person. That turns me off, but it does. And that makes me sad. Believe me, but it does.
Would you say? I would say that I probably used to be the audience for this sort of thing. I'm not anymore. I used to be.
I'm just into this guy. I love the look of the game. Even if we're going down the Google search for it, the pictures of the lass and sort of her dress and coat, and like the guy with his sort of the design of his clothing just looks beautiful and painted and
for sure,
gorgeous. And I really like the look of this. There's something speaks to me about it, and that's the first of these sort of the Tokyo RPG Factory games that's really made me go like, oh yes.
I'll tell you what it is. It has the look of a game whose name I will instantly forget the second it's turned off.
We'll see.
Yeah. What's this called? Can't remember.
Final Fantasy VIII Remaster.
Holy shit.
Came out of nowhere, looked really nice, and apparently even looks nicer than the PC version with the mods in, which is how did this
one would hope.
Yeah.
No, it does. It really does, because the PC's been getting some amazing res mods for the likes of Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy VII. They're genuinely beautiful. But as I understand it, this looks even nicer than the PC tweak. So
someone at Square Enix worked so hard and sold their soul to somebody, because this for the longest time was just thought lost, wasn't it? At least the original.
They've not got the assets anymore.
All the original files and assets and stuff. So I don't know who came forward with an old computer that they'd found stuff on, but
I just wonder if they'd
maybe it was just lies.
I just wonder if they'd had a chat with somebody like Bluepoint, because I remember with Silent Hill 2, the mobile developers that did the awful PS3 and 360 ports were just like, we hadn't really got the assets, so we had to. Well, they did things like doing signs in Comic Sans and things, and then Bluepoint, who were doing the Metal Gear HD remasters and stuff, they went to them back. They were like, they were saying, "Oh, you didn't get the same problems as the folks that were doing Silent Hill." And like, "Yeah, we got a retail disc and we just retrofitted it. We just pulled it apart,
reverse engineered it, and
yeah." Probably on the same speed dial. So I'm wondering if something like that has happened here, where they can just pull it to bits.
But also now retroactively, I suppose, looking back, good on Square Enix for not saying anything about this, presumably until they were sure it could be done in a way that they were happy with. Because if anything like that's happening, or they weren't 100% sure they could do it, don't tease fans with this stuff. And coming 2019, they said for this, so it sounds like they're fairly sure they can get it done and they're on course, which is great. Really.
Here is what I want for this, because I was quite excited when this sort of flashed up. Like, oh shit, really? Like, okay, 8 remains one of the only ones I've only ever played once, and I've wanted to go back to, but I really hate junctioning. Like, I really, really don't like it. It's the worst part of the game. However, if they were to implement something like they did with the Final Fantasy VII remaster that came out a couple of years ago, I realise we're getting into hard territory now because there's 1,000 different versions now, but it had you could speed up time to sort of grind, or you could do a button combo and then you've just got full health. Like, fine. Let me play that game effortlessly. Give me a way to power through it. Because I'll die otherwise. Yeah, I'll die otherwise. I'd love to play it again.
It was in 9 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd love to play this again, but just the whole aspect of actually having to sit there and remember how to do junctioning and to draw for 3 hours in a row just to get your stats up, and then feeling that fear of, I can't cast a spell because I'll end up slightly weaker. It's my own brain. I realise it's not that bad. It is my own brain that does that to me. But if I can nullify some of that stuff and just get back to that good story craft and just really get my teeth into it, brilliant. Hit me with that. I'll take it.
James?
I mean, I've never played a Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 8, therefore, doesn't particularly hold anything for me, but I think it was really... I think both for Square Enix during this conference as a whole, they did a really good job of pacing out a lot of, like, you could say, oh god, something else Final Fantasy. It never, even to me watching this conference, it never felt like another Final Fantasy eye roll type reaction. It felt like they've spaced this news out, and you can see in the audience, you can hear from the audience, people genuinely thrilled by every single one of these announcements for different reasons, or just in slightly different ways and slightly different people.
I still think one of the most breathtaking moments of last year is that when the Lightning trilogy came to Xbox One backwards compatibility, and they pulled out the cinematic files and replaced them with the PCs, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
But, I've got a lot of time for those games, so it was nice to see them. And also, it's nice to see them brought up to the modern day. So you have, because 8 was one of these games that was just sort of missing when they were announcing that stuff. They were like Final Fantasy.
Everything else seemed to be getting remasters or ports or virtual console releases or whatever it might be.
Avengers.
How dare you, sir? It's Marvel's Avengers.
Are you sure? It looked like some sort of dodgy knockoff Avengers.
They looked like cosplayers, didn't they?
How did that get approved?
How is this reaction. Right? How is this got the banner above the E3 and the front door?
Banner. The
it's
banner.
Up there. It's got a big old Bruce, right? It was announced 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right?
So
and then it went radio silent for a while.
They literally said nothing more than Crystal Dynamics is working on... It may not... I think they said Avengers, but if someone tells me that they just said a Marvel project, I'll believe them.
It was Avengers, because they showed off, like, it was the Shield, the Hammer, the Black Widow thing.
Right, sure.
A green... someone yelling in the background. I think it was one of those very short, like, kind of like mood-setting trailers where you see like a few flashes and then it just says, "Hey, we're making something. See you later."
I think the interesting thing here is, like, there's been speculation now for a similar period of time because 2015 was Arkham Knight, about what Rocksteady's working on next. And there's been like, there's leaks here of this, leaks here of that, projects have changed, etc. But Rocksteady just really calmly, and WB presumably backing them, just say, we're not at E3, nothing to announce yet. And people, sure, are disappointed, but they didn't feel the need 3 years ago to come out and say, this is what this studio of... I mean, I think Rocksteady, fair to say, of kind of equal standing as Crystal Dynamics in the industry. Both make, solid games that seem to sell well, very well loved. People anticipating what they're working on. And I think if Square Enix hadn't said 3 years ago what Crystal Dynamics were working on, it would have been notable that, is it Shadow of the Tomb Raider came out like last year, whenever it was, and that was Eidos Montreal that did that one. So people would have said, not Crystal, what are they working on? And people would have asked. So I kind of get why Square would want to say something a few years ago, but to not hear anything, it was getting to be one of those, must be this E3, right? We have to hear something now. I get a project this size, and clearly with the amount of money that Square are putting into it, I get why they've taken their time to get to this point, a year out, to want to say, here we go, let's get this rolled out. But there were rumours beforehand this was going to be some kind of Destiny-alike online service style game.
I think it actually is, as well as
and
having
it actually
campaign.
is, but in a wonderfully Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order fashion. No one knew that from what they showed on stage.
No, they didn't.
This all came out after the fact.
Nothing, wasn't it? It was nothing. Like, I got to the end of this whole presentation, I'm like, but what is the game?
Yeah.
Is it is it like, is it League of Legends? What is it? What is it?
I got more of a feeling of what the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 game was from that trailer, and what they'd done with the characters as well, where you're just like, it's really stylish. Like, what was the Toys to Life game? Disney Infinity.
Disney Infinity.
Like, when you saw those characters and you saw those toys, you were like, that's a really good version of Captain America.
If you see a picture of the toy or a picture of a screenshot in that game, you instantly know, despite all the different Marvel and Marvel's Avengers sort of stuff that's out there in terms of mobile games and animated TV shows and stuff, instantly know, that's that game. I instantly know, looking at any screenshot of this, what game it is, but my reaction's not one of enthusiasm.
It kind of looked like in the olden days when a film would be a really big hit, and then they have like a low-budget sequel, and none of the cast came back.
And so
it's like the knockoff B movie version called The Revengers.
Who is designing the hair? And who paced out this?
They look like wigs.
Who paced out this stuff? Because you got the bit where they brought out the cast, which I'm sure they were. They were going like, "Oh look, we've got our own Avengers." I just went, "It's the people that voice everything.
Yeah.
Why am I bothered?"
Hurt.
And then they went, "Oh, and now there's an exclusive bit of content." And it seemed to be a man arguing with Chris Christopherson.
And a lot of people needed telling afterwards that was Hank Pym. That was clearly supposed to be a big...
No.
Ant-Man's coming.
I was on about the Tony Stark bit where he looked like Chris Christopherson.
But
the Ant-Man, like, with the terrible hair.
That was clearly supposed to be Ant-Man's coming. A lot of people didn't realise when they said Hank that it was Ant-Man. It's just like...
And that really rough-looking Captain America. And also, it was pointed out on Easy Allies that Black Widow actually looked like Colby Smulders. Who was a bit part in the film where... I don't know. It just looked all over the place.
Captain America's outfit looked like he's bought a SWAT uniform from somewhere and just sprayed it. It's just SWAT gear.
And I heard...
He looked like... You remember in the beginning of... It's Dark Knight...
Wait, hang on. Are you gonna? I'm not wearing hockey pads.
That's the one. It looked, yeah.
Now I know my favourite bit of all of it was hearing Thor, because Travis Willingham, as I understand it, was on the voice cast to Dragon's Dogma, and I got quite a chunky porn. So when he started doing like these terrible, almost sort of English accents. I just thought like, Master, look at Hydra bodies gathered around that oil tanker like errant children. It was just, all of it was just really cack-handed. And
Strike the cape!
The bit that I was interested in, which is the live service thing, I thought that was going to be, the Avengers have gone, you create your own heroes, you're the next generation, all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, that sounds really good. But this, I don't know what this was. And somebody was saying that the Thor stuff is exactly God of War. Like throw your hammer, bring it back,
and that's where Crystal Dynamics are in a real bind here, because we've had a Spider-Man game where I really, really loved that game, and I know some people weren't as hot on it, but the feeling of being Spider-Man, swinging through that city, felt like they had worked their absolute socks off at Insomniac Games to get that, in my opinion, right. They wanted people to remember that feeling, and first time you swing through the city, they wanted a wow. They wanted people to think this must be what it feels like to be Spider-Man. And yeah, God of War is I got halfway through that game and fell off it, but I cannot deny that feeling of pushing a button and the whoosh of the axe coming back into his hand, and the sound effect it made, and the snap back, and the arc that it came back with. Everything of that was perfect. And I don't envy Crystal Dynamics taking on an Avengers game where they have 4 or 5 characters that they need each individual one. The mechanics are completely different, and they need to feel as nailed as those mechanics I just described did. And it's not fair to expect that. How can they? How can they possibly, for 5 characters, nail every single one of them exactly as a game that only had one character to nail?
Exactly where I am with that. Like, if you're going to do a game about a hero, it's about one of them. Like, it's very hard to get more than one. I don't think you can.
Mechanics, yeah.
You have the Incredible Hulk picking up tanks, breaking things, generally causing as much mayhem as possible. You get him right, perfect, fine. Black Widow stood next to him. She's very effective, but nowhere near as, can a character keep up with a character like the Hulk? Like, the actual levels in power there don't make any sense. Like, it would hurt me. Yeah.
Her fight style should feel really great. Thinking of Iron Man 2, the sequence where she actually finally is revealed as Black Widow. For whatever people think of that film and that iteration of that character, that fight sequence showed what she does that other people in the Avengers can't and don't. It's a very physical, very hands-on wrestling sort of style of fighting, and it should be really cool in a game if they can nail it. It should almost be like here's a UFC fighter, and that's not what any of the others offer. Even Cap, because Cap's gonna have to have a shield that feels really, really good. I'm really worried as to how they even go about doing that.
I think one of the most insightful comments I've heard is that the Spider-Man game and the Peter Parker and the Spider-Man therein differentiated themselves enough from Spider-Man Homecoming that you believed in that world and you accepted that Peter Parker and you knew what you were into.
As entirely separate, yeah, absolutely.
But this is kind of... it wants you to think it's a little bit like the films, but they don't look quite like the films, and you're just left with this uncanny valley sort of what? And
they haven't even got the right music sting for the Avengers logo, have they? You think they at least get the da-da, da-da bit of music in, but it's not. It's just a knockoff. It's cheap. It's cheap.
I'm
Here's
not
the thing.
confident about this.
I'll give you something else, right? So, Iron Man, right? His shit hair looks wrong, right?
Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, right? I think he sounds wrong as well. I don't think Nolan North's a good fucking Iron Man. It was a very good Spider-Man style of commentary, but it didn't fit Iron Man. It sounded like he was trying to be the wacky joke one. I'm going to do a Deadpool joke on you. Like, no.
Oh, yeah, in the actual fight, it just seemed a little bit...
Terrible.
Well,
terrible.
And this is part of the problem, of course. We've seen Nolan North do so many different... let's use the word iconic characters. But also, he played Deadpool in the Deadpool game. He has voiced that character before, so he needs to be very careful to distinguish his Tony Stark from his Nathan Drake and from his Deadpool, because there is a world in which Tony Stark comes across as sarcastic in the way those characters are, but Tony Stark isn't. At least the Tony Stark we expect now from a world in which we've had Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark for 10 years. And that version of Tony Stark has bled straight back into the comics. And so it's this... I feel like this is almost not Crystal Dynamics' fault. They're in an almost impossible situation where if they stray too far, people won't accept it. If they stick too close, it's an uncanny valley. But so when I first saw Peter Parker in Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man game, I didn't like the look of the face. I didn't like the art style they'd gone for. And I don't think they actually changed that much. I think he still looks much the same then as he did in the final game. But playing the game, I understood, and I see why that character looks the way he looks, and I like that look now. I don't think I'm going to change my mind on the way these characters are, but I can see why they went different from the films and didn't try and do likenesses. Because quite probably Marvel Games wants to be separate and distinct, because if they tried to make an MCU game, where do you fit in that story? How do you get stakes of your own that are real and valid, and how close do you have to hew to what's come before? It just feels like, at CJ, I think you nailed it, I expected to come out of this thinking, I cannot wait to see where this goes. Reservations and all, I can't wait. And I came out of it thinking, I'm going to get my Avengers fix from Ultimate Alliance 3 next month.
Yeah, which looks phenomenal.
Which when I first saw that, I thought, this looks a bit mobile game-y in terms of the graphics. You know what I mean? Just that kind of... that aspect of the graphics where they don't feel rounded out and full in a way that it would in a console. But the more I've seen of that, I'm like, yeah, that's a version of Marvel characters that's distinct from what I got from playing Lego Marvel Heroes, that's distinct from what I've seen from other games and other Marvel properties. And this, I'm not sure where it lands. Digital Foundry did a really cool kind of analysis of the tech that's being used in this, and talking about the hair and talking about the way it looks and everything. And I've heard people say that the biggest maybe misstep they made was not the way they designed the characters, but the fact that the way it's lit and the colour palette seems very evocative of the MCU. And what Digital Foundry actually did was show that, because if you put like a shot of Iron Man over its Golden Gate Bridge in the trailer they showed, isn't it, next to a shot of Iron Man from the films, it actually does look quite different. And they then said, okay, so in this shot from the film, there's a lot more detail to the armor, there's a lot more wear, it looks a lot more real, it looks like a lot more tangible in a way that the shots from the game don't seem to, or certainly from what I've seen. And they started putting filters over it that gave it the grain, that gave it a slightly different colour tone, and it looked, to me, way better for what Digital Foundry were doing to try and make it actually look like the MCU films. So it's this weird world where they I don't want to say they want their cake and eat it. They want to get the reflected attention from being an Avengers in a world where the Avengers are the biggest thing going in terms of entertainment properties, but they also want their own identity. And I think they need to lean one way or the other. They just need to either go for it, and not in terms of facial likenesses, because that's a whole can of worms. You'd need sign off, it'd need a whole lot of money going towards those actors. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Square or Crystal Dynamics version of Chris Evans' version of Captain America. I'd rather they did do their own thing. But if you're going to lean into a world that is MCU Avengers in all but name, go for it. Like, convince me, show me shots that are basically taken straight from the MCU films.
Did you see there was a guy who'd worked on God of War who did a few Marvel pictures a little while ago, and I remember looking at them and just going like, dear God, yes, they looked so good.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame that I don't know that.
And
That's
for
not the case.
so the story stuff about A-Day, a point where the Avengers are celebrated and are launching. Here's our vision of the future, and a piece of tech they're using blows up in their faces. And all right, we have to buy that the world then just immediately turns on them and outlaws heroes because of an explosion. Like in the game, maybe they'll make me buy that. It's an interesting premise. We're not forming the Avengers. We're not playing them at their peak necessarily. We're playing them, trying to bring them back together after they messed up badly.
Well, it's all a bit kind of leaning into the old sort of DC Kingdom Come, where the old heroes sort of disappear and and they only sort of return when that was it, and then a big evil menace arises, which brings the team back together. Yeah. Like, really?
That's the most cookie cutter way of describing that. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you what the best part of the Avengers presentation was, and it was only 2 seconds long, and it was the only bit that made me go, oh, and that was War Machine colliding off the side of a space station.
I'm not. My thought was, is that War Machine or is that Tony in a Iron Man spacesuit? Because it was white panels on it. But either way,
I suppose it could be Ultron or something as well.
But either way, yeah, it's like take me places that the films haven't or can't, and some of this stuff, maybe they'll turn me round on it. But yeah, I can't imagine how disappointed some of the people at Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal who are helping with development and Square must be with some of the reaction to this. But equally well, I don't know how they expected any other reaction from what they showed, which is people picking about, oh, is that 15 frames there? Is that gameplay? Like one of the shots of Iron Man flying on the bridge. It's just either you need to absolutely knock it out the park with a CG trailer that gets everyone jazzed and wanting to see more, or you need to here's a stinger and let's break down what this game is. Let's talk about what the gameplay is. Let's get people excited. If you're doing an Avengers game where you've got a set of 5 characters at your core, you've got an opportunity to market, okay, today we are just talking about Captain America. Here is why we think this character is cool in our game. Here is what this character does in our game. Focus on something that gets people. If there's loads to get people excited, you know what I mean.
If there's loads of customization in the game, show me the different looks that I can have for my Captain America. Yeah. Like, show me some sort of wacky pink outfit. Show me like some really cool individual designs. Show me something like black and white. Show me something that gives me an idea of the creativity that I can have with my Avengers. Yeah. And there was just none of that. It seemed tremendously cack-handed and stapled together.
It seems like they've just not thought everything through quite enough, isn't it? It's like everything's kind of almost formed an idea, but not quite close. Oh, we'll lead off of the Marvel Avengers and change them just a bit. Like it's like you've copied someone's homework. Like it's a little bit different, but it's the same. The thing you said, we talk about the new helicarrier with the experimental fuel, right? Stupid idea. Petrol exists. Why does the thing need to fly? I have problems with the helicarrier on a very basic level. Several of the Avengers can fly. You don't need that anymore. Why? Why are you putting yourself in these positions where this bad thing can happen? Like, here's a thing, right? Here's a thing that blew my mind, right? They showed off 5 Avengers, right? 5 core awesome Avengers. The game is 4-player. Fuck me sideways. Fuck me into the bin. I am glad, and I will say this now.
Tell you what's in the bin with you. What's in the bin with you is there will be PS4 exclusive content in the bin.
Get in the bin. Get in.
It. No more of that.
In a week where Bungie, whose game this apparently takes some structural stuff from, made a big deal of the fact they were happy to get rid of console exclusive stuff. No, we're not doing that. Everyone gets everything from now on. That's what happens. Just showing that as a developer, that's what they want to be able to do. They don't want to have to give exclusivity to a console because of a co-marketing deal with one platform, and yet here they're trying to sell that as a big deal. Again, the biggest cheer this got was for them saying no pay to win or loot boxes. It's like, that's not why is this a selling point of your game that you're not giving me something wretched? Why?
What's
That's
I'll tell you
so
another.
bizarre.
We haven't taken a shit on the disc. Look, cheer.
Another
cheer, maggots.
favourite moment that I had was the lass who came on stage. She was giving a very professional presentation. Looked like she was one of the Kryptonians from the original Superman the movie, but also at the same time with kind of her. She wearing like PVC trousers or something and like her makeup. She also looked like the people that were put into the Phantom Zone who came back in Superman 2. So I was like looking at her again, a little bit uncanny valley. I was sort of going like, oh, because she got this strange 4-part cape, and I was fascinated by it, like crisp white, and then I don't know, very bizarre.
So again, it wasn't very clear, and if people need to ask questions in order to be excited about your game after the fact, then you messed up your presentation. Like you've just said, oh, it's up to 4-player co-op. It is, but not for the main story. You play the main story solo, and the co-op stuff is other missions. It's like side missions, presumably in the same areas that are in the game, but kind of Destiny style where, okay, here's the campaign, but you're only playing that solo. Then other stuff you go into is 4-player co-op afterwards. And again, it looks like Captain America is killed in that explosion. I don't think anyone expects he's not coming back. In that story, I think everyone expects he's coming back. So yeah, absolutely. It's a really odd thing to have 4-player co-op but only 5 characters. And alright, they're adding Hank Pym, probably Hawkeye will arrive at some point. There'll be other characters added, and they've said that all additional characters are going to be free. That's cool. So the DLC afterwards is going to be extra stuff to do, but if you just want characters to play with for whatever basic content's there, you're going to get those. That's great and that's cool, but it all just feels a little bit like if I'm having to ask these questions and suss this stuff out after the fact, then your presentation didn't do what it needed to do.
With the premise that's that cliched as well, I wouldn't put it past them to go like, oh, when this evil rises up, oh no, there's somebody that we can't get near who's a really terrible superpower, and oh, you find out it's Captain America who's been brainwashed. How can we get Captain America back on our side? Oh, great, Cap's back on our side now. Let's go after the evil. I half expect that. It's so cack-handed.
Yeah. I think the choice of the voice cast is pretty cack-handed as well. I think they're all phoning it in. It sounds like they're all phoning it in. Like, look at this all-star cast we've announced. We've got Troy Baker and Nolan North, the two men who are in every video game.
No, they're all in every video game.
We've got two people
from
one
of the streams that I saw. They were saying like, are there no other voice actors available?
Well, I mean, like the other two, Travis Willingham and Laura Bailey are part of Critical Role, which is like the biggest D&D thing in the world, and seems to have taken over that space. Like, and then they woke up and said, "Oh, I think Captain America is a good character because I think he does this. I like Iron Man because he's blah blah.
Yeah,
I like Hulk because I'm being paid to play Hulk." They're not doing anything
you hear
with
Willingham
it.
Where he's like, I think Thor's gotten really good these last few years. He'd be like, honestly, go back and read some original Thor. It's amazing. Stan Lee pulling an absolute big Billy Shakespeare.
It's like you said early in the series of podcasts we have done, star fucking. It is star fucking and nothing else. They could have not shown the voice cast and it would have literally changed. I would be slightly less annoyed, I think.
And that's the thing, I don't have anything against any one of these voice actors at all. I think they've all done excellent work. I think that it's justified that they get as much work as they do. The problem is, if you don't have the actors that people only familiar with the MCU recognise as those characters, then you have an opportunity here. You don't need a big name because you ain't getting the big names people expect you to get, because you're not getting those people in to record voices for this game. So you have an opportunity to choose really interesting people, and if what these voice actors have to say about these characters is what you showed in that little video, they have nothing interesting to say about the characters.
I like Black Widow because she's like normal, and everyone else is like superpowers, so she has to like step up to the plate to what?
Yeah.
Nothing.
It
That's
was
nothing.
the most
It's nothing.
Like somebody's giving you a photograph and ask you to describe
the character.
somebody.
Yeah. It was the most surface level. I know who this character is. Here's my evidence. It's just like, if you don't have a different take on this character, why are Crystal Dynamics paying you a lot of money to play them? Find an interesting angle on these characters, not just Tony Stark is the sarcastic one who has some demon. Like, come on, give me.
Think, guys. Okay, I'll give you a great example of this. Right, so Carl Urban, okay, when he was tapped to play Dredd in the Dredd film that came out, which I was very excited, and I still think it's a fucking brilliant film. I watched a few interviews with him, and he was like, I read shitloads of Dredd. Like, I sat down, I went through loads of it, and I kind of built my own take on the character. That, you know, he's not like shouting and screaming all the time. He's always angry, but he's keeping it under control, and he's always kind of bubbling. And like I'd never sort of thought of Dredd as being like that before. It's like just constantly on the urge of like yelling at someone, but just keeping it under control. Like, I thought that was a really cool take, and like I liked the way he played it. He had something to say about the character because he'd done the research. Not Captain America throws shield and he's quite noble. That's
can we
nothing.
Say as well in that regard that
Incredible Hulk is green. Fucking.
We say as well in that regard that that for the Witcher TV series, that boy has played those games inside out. He's read the books, and he's gonna forge his own version of Geralt. And again, it's somebody that when I knew how much he loved those games, I was sort of. And, you know, love the character, love the books, love the world. That's what made me go, yeah, I think he might do something kind of cool.
And that's so, like, the response to him being cast was a lot of people saying, that's not my Geralt, that he doesn't look like I expect him to look. He's not going to sound like... It's just like, okay, but there's a different take on this character. Your Geralt is not the original Geralt either. He's quite different from the Geralt in the books. So let's allow that project... room to breathe. I'm not saying I think it'll be good. I think he's an interesting piece of casting because he doesn't necessarily look like I'd expect him to look, and therefore they may not be going for something that I expect, which is really cool. I think if I wanted the version of Geralt I've already spent more than 100 hours playing as in these games, easily more than that, and if someone who's played all 3 games, probably closer to 300 hours playing as. If you want to see that, put the game in and play it. I don't get...
But the game is a different interpretation of the books.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's going to be you know, a similar sort of thing again. But I think whilst he played a Superman that isn't my sort of Superman, you know,
it was a different version of Superman as well. Yeah,
which I despised.
Sure, but, absolutely. But
he's a very good actor, and I think people don't realise that he came from like the Tudors and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's
really old.
You know what I mean? He can do some really serious stuff, and I fully expect him to do a good job. I really hope so.
And yeah, I don't expect every actor to be cast on the basis of pre-existing love for a franchise or for a series. You know, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Not everyone. You can't go back and rewrite your childhood. If that's not something you were interested in back then, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, if your take on the characters is what we heard from these actors, who are incredible voice actors. I want to be clear, I'm not besmirching them in and of themselves, but encourage them to give you something in that video documentary or video interview or whatever you want to call it. Encourage them to give you something that at least provokes a reaction from people that isn't, well, yeah, obviously that's who Thor is, sure, and Thor's interesting the past few years. All right, you've seen Ragnarok. Big whoop.
I wish I hadn't.
But it's just...
Don't you start.
There's... Thor Ruffalo.
There's plenty of ways in which to think about Thor that shows that you are going for what's in the MCU or you're not going for what's in the MCU, that you're harking back to a particular run of comics. And sometimes that, you know, when someone's cast and doing the interviews for all the various, you know, TV stations and whatever, and they pull out, oh yeah, this arc of the comics by this particular author and artist, that's the one that I really liked. It's like, oh, okay, you were given a little pack of research to do, and you picked out a couple of names to drop. Fine. That's how it can sound sometimes, but when you don't even manage to sound like that, then what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing if you can't even muster some PR focused response or thought on this sort of stuff? It just looked surprisingly underbaked for something that we know has been behind closed doors for 3 years, and gave me absolutely no confidence that I want to play this game whatsoever.
I will say one more thing. I will say one thing, and I am glad that Crystal Dynamics don't have Soul Reaver anymore, if this is what they would do with it. Fuck me. I know their hands are tied in a strange way here, but good God, they are shitting this into the bin. Like, without even trying. I mean, this felt... The CG trailers they showed felt like the initial cutscenes for the game, but they've just trimmed all the gameplay out, and they've just kind of... Instead of pressing skip cutscene, they've pressed skip gameplay. At least show the fucking game, guys. Come on.
It makes me wonder what kind of shape the game's in, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did we think to the Square conference? I quite enjoyed it.
I would say wild jumps in quality throughout. I'd say it started about as strong as any conference started this year. I would say it started as strong as the Ubisoft one with the Watch Dogs thing. In fact, stronger. Obviously, we knew about Final Fantasy VII, but the fact we got more info about it was wonderful, and it was the right kind of info. It's the stuff I wanted to know. It's the stuff I wanted to see. It's the stuff I've been waiting to see. And it was all good. Like, nothing. There were no red flags there for me. It's like, yep, nope, they're pulling all the stops out on this. I'm up for this, and that was a really, really good start. Then 45 minutes of anime, and then the Avengers. I think I have to settle with the idea that Square don't make an awful lot of stuff for me anymore. And they used to, but they just don't anymore.
You've changed.
I
have
was
changed.
going to say that I think Square are sticking to their guns on what they do well, and so if it's not for you anymore, that's maybe more about you than them.
No, and that's fine. I will accept that.
Square Enix have
100%.
kind of veered off all over the place in the last number of years, and have seemingly lost a lot of their identity, I guess. And now the style of game that they made their name for is coming back into fashion, and is actually sort of selling quite well. They seem to not only be going back to their roots, but also pulling out like the little surprises like the Saga games, and the Final Fantasy VIII remaster. And I don't know, that to me is nice to see.
Yeah. It is, but I just don't think those kind of JRPGs, I just don't think are my bag anymore.
But that's even aside from,
and that's me. That's not the conference. That's me.
That's what I'm saying. Even aside from you having changed, it's nice to see a company coming back to their roots and celebrating what they're about, and the audience that have either loved them for an eternity or are coming to them because of people maybe trying a Persona for the first time and really enjoying it. Or, do you know what I mean? Getting the hooks in and seeing what JRPGs can be.
I'll tell you what they need. I'll tell you what Square need. They've now got this ethics committee, right? Good idea. I have another committee they could hire. A naming committee. So someone comes to them with like, what have you got there? What game have you got there? It's Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of Divisions. Nope, too many words. Go away. Think of another one. Come back when you've come up with a better name. Or this is Dragon Quest 11S Luminary Definitive. Nope, fuck off. Try again. Come back with a better name. If you do better names, I'll remember them more. And obviously it ended on just an absolute wet fart of a reveal. Just an absolute, just really. You want to go home, like you want to send people off with a smile on their face, and they managed the opposite.
See, I don't think that was a wet fart. I think they followed all the way through on that unfortunate fart and absolutely soiled themselves, frankly.
Well played.
Yeah.
James?
Ugh.
I really enjoyed watching the conference. I think there's almost nothing that I'm going to play in any of this, which is just really weird to say, because I can't Avengers I expected to be more interested in. I'm just not, based on what they showed at all. That's kind of the only downside. Everything else was like, this looks really cool. I'm not playing it, but it looks really cool. Life is Strange Season 2, it's nice to be reminded, oh yeah, I should get around to that at some point. Outriders, I feel like I should be more interested in, based on it being People Can Fly, but it didn't really enthuse me. And almost everything else that was there, with the exception of Dying Light 2, is just kind of games that, I mean, I've never played, I don't think, a JRPG. I played the intro to Chrono Trigger twice, but didn't get to the point where I could save it before I had to turn it off. So that tells you everything you need to know. I'm just not the target audience for this. I probably should find a JRPG to sit down and play, because I'd probably really enjoy it. I don't have 80 hours to give to something that I've not got a passion to play, so it's never going to happen. But I am so thrilled for Square Enix, frankly, and their fans, that when Square Enix said they were going to start doing conferences, it's a bit like, really, are you sure, guys? Are you sure you've got enough? Yeah, they absolutely have, on the strength of this. So many games, and where they don't have new stuff coming out, they're remastering one of the, people's favourite games of all time, and rightly throwing every single dollar in the world at it to make it look like it does. And then to fill in other gaps, they're bringing games over to places that haven't had them released. They're re-releasing stuff. They're finding ways to re-release stuff people thought just would never see the light of day, especially in the West. I think they're knocking it absolutely out the park for their fan base. I'm just not one of them, which is absolutely fine, but I really enjoyed this conference.
I really enjoyed it too. It's a lot of it just made me smile. The start of it thrilled me, and the fact that it ended sort of not brilliantly didn't really affect how much I loved watching it and seeing Square sort of come back to their central nucleus, I guess.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thank you for joining me, Patrick Stardust, Mr. James Carter.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening, and next time we will have Nintendo?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I forgot about that one at the end of the...
So had I.
It's like, we've got one more to do, and then, no, we've got Nintendo as well.
Right, cheer back.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.